Good day, everyone, and a very welcome to today's webinar presented by Cultural Legions. On behalf of the CL team, I, Bennett, would like to thank you all for joining us today with an intriguing topic, which is Building Agile Mindsets and Culture by Mr. Kiran Rachuru. Before we begin, I would like to give you all a briefing of Cultural Legions, which is an Agile HR transformation company founded with an intent to drive transformation, organization, individuals, and management students. We offer consulting and coaching services as well as organized agile HR training, workshops, and certification programs. We have conducted 30 plus webinars, international projects across 7 plus countries and 125 plus certification programs. Not just this, but we are also very happy to share with you all the Cultural Legions USA will be soon complete in its 5 years. So that's very exciting for the company. So if you have any question about Cultural Legions or related to the context of the webinar, please write your questions on the comments box and we will answer it later on. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our speaker, Mr. Kiran Rachuru. He is MS, SPC5, RTE5, CSP-SM, CSM, and also an Agile Coach himself. He has more than 20 years of experience working in this industry. So without wasting much time, let us welcome our speaker of the day, Mr. Kiran Rachuru. So yeah. Sir, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you so much, Manal. Thank you, Lakshmi, for giving me this opportunity. And then, so as I see, there are some people whom I know very well and some people whom I don't know. But anyway, let's not get into the introduction part. So let's get into this one. So it's been assured that, I'm not going to talk about Agile, anything like, like my earlier classes. So let's talk about a little bit high level than, Agile and the transactional levels of Agile. So we will see what we can do. So the agenda is going to be here. We will be talking about mindset. We'll be talking about culture. We will be talking about Agile. So these are the 3 various aspects we will be discussing. And then we will see how to build Agile mindset and culture. So how are we going to bridge? So we learn a little bit about, of course, everything is known to, that's what I believe. So everybody knows everything, but we are here to, but maybe in a dots. So may not be completely aware in a systematic way, or probably, so we will try to connect the dots and, so that, it will be value addition to you. Okay. So yeah, I would like to have it more interactive rather than, I will be delivering most of the time. So I would like to have it more interactive. But having said that, we have some set of agenda and we have timelines also. So please be aware of the timelines and then we can have conversations as we move forward. Okay, in case if anything I'm unable to answer, probably definitely you can get in touch with Lakshmi or Manal. We will get back to you on the respective things. Okay. So having said that, so let's get started. Okay, so before we move on, so let's not talk about anything. Let's forget about our office work, and then let's go to our childhood days, and then let's think about what is value. First of all, let's have a conversation. So, what, according to you, what is value? Feel free, you can be vocal here. So. Okay, I see some of the chats, but please be vocal. So difficult to, having a look at the chat as well as the conversation. So I would recommend to have a conversation on this.
Whatever you're delivering value to the business or our vendors.
Absolutely. Okay.
Value is something important. It may not be monetary. It can be something that is going to be adding benefit to each parties involved.
Absolutely. Right?
Hello, I would say value is a principle which lead us to reach a goal.
Okay, perfect. So if I ask you, what is your core value? What would be your answer?
My core value?
Yep.
I will say, yeah, this the principle for which I stand for, the principle that I defend, and I believe which can help to build up something.
Perfect, perfect. Any other thoughts apart from Francis?
Transparency.
Transparency, okay.
Built-in quality, alignment, and executions.
Okay, okay, perfect. Core values. That is core values of SAFE, right? Scale Agile framework.
Yeah. But if we talk about customer perspective, so whatever the business value we are delivering to the customer, that something represent a core value to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Fantastic, fantastic, Anurag. Right. So that's what. So we are clear, right? So what is value? So value is a source of your passion, or probably what is the purpose of our life, your life. So that's what will be. So what are we going to deliver? Maybe if you take an organization, so what they are delivering to the customer, that's a value to them. So do you think that value will vary from person to person, organization to organization?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Excellent. So let's move on. So what is competency?
Can I give like my what I consider what is competency? For me, I think that is the skills that someone is have that someone else doesn't have. You can talk about, for example, soft skills or something like that. That's we can, for example, help you to be more competitive like more others. For example, for me, it's an added value that for you that, for example, other people or another person that doesn't have.
Absolutely, absolutely. A unique way what you can do, right? So your ability, it talks about your ability and the unique way what you deliver, what you do, right? That's about competency.
And also the resources and the information that I have to deliver my value is my also part of my competence, I believe.
Right, that's right. That's right, Kishore.
Yeah, individual's capability.
Individual's capability, yes, that's right. That's right. Perfect, perfect. So let's move on. So what is principle? Ability to do something, yes, that's right. So what is principle?
The morals that govern you in your values and in whatever mission you set out to do.
Right.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment. Yes, it's a commitment. I read it from Gitanjali that it's a belief. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on principles? Like, how many principles we learned in our school days? Lot many principles, right? Lot many principles, lot many theorems, laws, etc. Right? So which is a universal belief, that's a universal belief, and which is a truth. Okay, so which is a universal truth. That's what we will be calling it as principle. And of course, we have a lot of principles. The moment we get into our Agile, probably we have a lot of principles over there. So there are 12 principles in Agile and 10 principles in Scaled Agile framework, etc., etc. Right? So next move on to the next one is practice. So what is practice according to you? Usually principles and practices will go hand in hand, right? Mostly, but let's separate it out. What is a practice?
Practice is something we have the knowledge and we need to apply to a particular context.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So we all know soccer, right? Football. We know the rules mostly. Of course, may not be in-depth rules, but at least we know fair rules, right? So, or probably let's talk about cricket. I think most of the audience know about cricket, right? So we know cricket very well. So we know the rules of cricket, or how cricket, the principles of cricket, we know very well. Am I right? Do you agree with me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So who is the best cricket player in the world? Of course, there are many.
Virat Kohli.
I'm sorry? Who's the best cricket player? Multiple, but still one or two, at least. Please name one or two. Okay.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Okay, Sachin Tendulkar, Rohit Sharma. Okay. Okay, MS Dhoni.
Virat Kohli.
Sachin Tendulkar, yeah, okay. So we all know cricket, right? Then why can't we become best players, the top players in cricket? Why not? We know the principles. We know how the cricket will be played. Brian Lara, perfect, yeah. So why can't we?
We are not applying it to become a player.
Right. So in other words, we don't practice cricket unless, in our college days, we used to practice cricket, and later on, because of various, absolutely. So various other factors, other priorities have come into our life, and then we stopped practicing the cricket, and then we started practicing our other things, right? So now, are we clear on what is value, what is competency, what is principle and practice? Okay. So thank you so much. So let's move on. So let's move on to mindset. Okay. So there are some questions over here. Probably, let's see. I can learn anything I wanted to. Do you belong to this category? Do you agree with this statement?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm either good or not at something. Do you agree?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I want to challenge myself.
Yes.
I don't like to be challenged because I'm the best.
No.
Okay. So when I fail, I learn.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
okay. Because what is the full form of fail? Somebody, FAIL full form? First attempt in learning, right? First attempt in learning, FAIL. Okay. So when I fail, I'm no good.
no.
No.
Okay. Tell me, I try hard.
No.
Okay. So tell me I'm smart. Yes or no? I'm smart.
No.
Okay. So let's talk about something else. So when I'm frustrated, I preserve. I preserve when I frustrate.
No.
When I frustrate, I give up.
No.
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 Okay.
No.
If I succeed, or if you succeed, I'm inspired.
Yes.
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 Okay. If you succeed, I'm threatened.
No.
Okay. My effort and attitude determine everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My abilities determine everything.
No.
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 Okay. No or yes or mix.
No.
No.
Okay. Perfect. So let's segregate here. So we have two mindset, right? One is fixed mindset, the other one is growth mindset. Now, I leave it to you now. So here, do you agree the statements over here? Like, when I can learn everything, I can learn anything I wanted to. So let's say you are not working. So let's say you get into some new organization. So there, the complete, the set of practices, the principles, the culture, everything will be different, right? In the new organization. So what you do at that point of time? You have to learn, right? So you have to learn and you have to adjust accordingly. Okay. So when I frustrate, I preserve. I wanted to change myself. I wanted to learn, right? So these are the typical things which will be talking about growth mindset. So we are openness. So we are willing to learn. All right. So it's common for everybody, right? So everybody will be having failures. It's not everybody will be talking about success, right? So before you reach the success, there will be a lot of failures also. That's what I would believe. Of course, maybe at least 1 or 2 failures will be there for everybody, mostly, right? So whenever you learn, whenever you fail, so let's take a simple example. You attend one interview. You did not get through that interview. So then what you do? What's your thought process?
So we will think what went wrong.
So we will see what you did well and where it went wrong, and you will follow up with your respective single point, the point of contact over there in the organization. Okay, tell me the feedback. Refine our skills. Absolutely, Padmini. So refining our skills. Okay. So that is what we will do. So have we stopped our learning? Okay, I did not get through this job. I mean, I did not get through this interview and so on, right? So we wanted to work upon, and then we wanted to engage ourselves in order to learn. That's continuous learning, right? Everybody's learner, right? So we wanted to learn, and that's will be talking about growth mindset. So fixed mindset, let's not get into too much of fixed mindset. They are the people who think that, they are very smart, and, if somebody else is, if somebody else is getting succeeded, then, they will feel that they are going to be competitors. So let's forget about the competition now. So we wanted to work collaboratively. That's a kind of culture we are bringing in, right, in the organizations. We'll get into that in a while. Okay. So any thoughts or anything you would like to share on this fixed mindset or growth mindset? Okay, so let's move on to next one. So far we have seen about the mindset. So let's talk about culture. So according to you, what is culture?
A way of living.
A way of living. Perfect. Any other thoughts?
The way we do things.
Way of working.
Okay. Work.
Culture is the way how we live, and it's global, like how the way our living, our thoughts, our beliefs, and everything that we trust, we believe, and it because as a study, it's like I think that culture is, without culture we are nothing. So it's the way how we see our lives, how a community or a group of people is living together, in terms of attitude, like in concerning like the religion, and so the way how we, for example, if I would like to give an example, for example, it's the way how we are wearing clothes, the way how, for example, we can solve, for example, a problem. It's also about like ethics, how we should like confront, we are confronting with other people, how we live with other persons for other countries, etc., etc.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. So here I got some more inputs, like our environment, norms and values of a certain group, and then set of predefined rules and mindset as a way of living, collective manner of living. Then we have a set of belief systems that people follow that outlines how a set of people behave and think, ideas, customs, and belief, etc., etc. Right. So this is what everybody, so because we have people from various geographical locations, right, at this moment. So here we all belonging to, our cultures might be different, but we are working together. So there are in most of the organizations, the geographically distributed teams will be existing, right? So we will not be having any issue. Culture is not going to be a barrier for us. So because we are working together. It's a collaboration between the teams. So now let's see, there are some cultures here, like, we have top-down culture is one more thing, and where command and control, and some places, may not be in the software organizations, or probably somewhere it is required, like especially the armed forces, they wanted to be having a command and control. Okay, so again, so whatever the culture you have, so because most of us, everybody is from the software organizations at this moment, or from manufacturing industry. So we wanted to get into generative culture. So we will see generative culture in a little while. And then, so in order to get into generative culture, so what we wanted to achieve, so how we wanted to transform. So in order to change the culture, so what should we do? We wanted to transform our mindset. So if at all, we have seen like what are the aspects of fixed groups, fixed mindset. So how can we work on the fixed mindset, and how can we transform ourselves into growth mindset? So that's a personal mastery. So that is one thing we wanted to understand as a person. So how you can get rid of the fixed mindset activities. Okay, so let's see what Agile is about. So far we have seen culture, so we have seen mindset. Now Agile. So what is the simple meaning of Agile? What is the definition of Agile? What is
flexible, being flexible.
Speed with control, flexibility. Yes, perfect. Any other thoughts?
It's a mindset.
Mindset, okay. Versatile. If you Google it, this is what you're going to get, right? So it is ability to move quickly and easily. So we wanted to do things very easily, right? We don't want to make it our life complicated. So we wanted to have as simple as we can. It's a streamline of a process for a quickly and effectiveness. So ease to transform or adapt. Absolutely. So we wanted to be nimble, okay, and so on. So how we can move faster with quickly and easier. So this is what a meaning of Agile. So I'm sure most of us are here Agile experts, right? So anything you would like to share based on your experience, experts, Agile experts?
Flexible.
Okay, any your experience, anything, any you would like to share on Agile?
Adaptability.
Adaptation quickly.
Breaking things down to smaller chunks.
Absolutely. Why smaller? Because the smaller things are very easy to perform, right? So easily we can do the small things.
Yeah.
Right?
We can achieve.
Perfect. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
Make the flow better.
Make the flow better. Yeah, perfect. Okay, very good. So that's all. I think we got many information. So a lot of information we got from the participant. Excellent for that. Okay, so now let's move on. How do we get this? So how are we going to build Agile mindset and culture? How are we going to do that? Okay, so let's see here. Now, so can you guess this person?
No.
Okay, anybody else? Any other thoughts on this person?
Tough one.
I'm sorry?
A tough one, I think.
Okay, now, how about this person?
Yes, it's Martin Luther King.
He
was also an activist who who was fighting about the Afro-American rights. He was fighting for the right of for people of color. Sorry for I don't want to hurt anyone. And he was killed during the 60s. I don't remember exactly the date. He was famous from the speech that he did about, like he said, like I had a dream to see my children like studying with normal school with the right people, like the right person, etc. So
absolutely. So Martin Luther King Jr., right? Perfect. Now this person.
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela. Yes. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, Mohandas Gandhi. And this person?
Mother
Teresa.
Okay, perfect. Mother Teresa. And this person? Any idea? Okay, any clue? Is this person?
Should be a scientist.
Yeah, sort of. He's Albert Schweitzer. So he's European, German originated, and he spent most of his time in Africa. So he got Nobel Prize in somewhere in, I don't remember the year. Okay, so now any guess? Okay, we have seen these people, right? So whom do you think these people are? Except the first person. Back to this person a little later.
Very famous.
Very famous.
Nobel winners.
Nobel winners, okay. And so let's talk about their personality.
People who implemented change.
Anybody, I'm not sure about Nelson Mandela, but any other, yes, leaders, perfect. What kind of leaders?
Philanthropic leaders.
I'm sorry?
Philanthropic leaders?
Yes, okay. Not self-serving, okay. Political, yes. Do anybody...
Social activists?
Social activists, yes.
And the people who admire those, right?
Yes. So how many people followed these people? How many people followed them?
I think millions of millions.
Millions of millions. Do they have any authority? I'm not quite sure on Nelson Mandela because he served as a president, I believe. Not quite sure on that part.
No,
they don't have any authorities.
No authority. So in this thing, so don't you think that these are all called servant leaders? Serve the people and then lead the people.
Yeah.
Right? So I was very, they were brave and bold. Absolutely. They were very brave. Right? Yeah, Nelson Mandela. That's what I got. This thing, Nelson Mandela was not, I'm not quite sure about Nelson Mandela. Now, so these are all great servant leaders. Am I right? The 5 people here.
Yeah.
Now, can you guess who's this person?
Albert Einstein?
Or no.
Hitler?
No.
Nikola Tesla?
No. Robert Greenleaf. He is considered to be a father of servant leadership. So now, the reason why we are discussing about all this, we are not going to discuss about servant leadership now. Okay? So anybody would like to talk about servant leadership before we move on? Or any your experiences based on, servant leadership, or how did you behave as a servant leader to your teams or team of teams?
I think that's for me, the reason that you put all this person is that they are all like, even they didn't met before, and not even they they were lived in the same century, but in the same period of time in the last century. But I think that the reason why they are famous and the reason why they are leaders, because they are also like a vision. They were fighting for specific reason. And this is the quality that for a leader to be like not to give like orders, no, but they are like they are like they see far away, and they are visionary person. And yeah, this is it. That's what I wanted to share.
So thank you so much. So anybody else would like to share their experience on servant leadership in your team or in your program?
Yes, one thing, go ahead.
Yes, Anurag.
Yeah, so Kiran, one thing, let's say, apart from what culture mindset we are talking about, like servant leaders is also important to create more leaders within the organization. So it's not about just a one person doing everything over there, right? So
Absolutely.
Changing a mindset to create more leaders within the same group so that others can follow them as well, right?
Absolutely right, Anurag. You're 100% right.
Yeah, motivating the team.
Yes.
By taking the first steps at our end.
Right. Absolutely right. So yeah,
I think also.
Basically, the
I think
leadership
also,
philosophy in which the goal of the leader is to serve, and rather than being a leader in the traditional way when they were more authoritative in earlier days. So servant leadership is the leadership philosophy, or the goal as a philosophy. The leader prefers to serve rather than being a authoritative leader. That's right.
Perfect.
I will add also to get everybody involved to a vision that the leader has.
Right, absolutely.
Basically, you treat the employees how you like to be treated by your manager or whatever your boss, and you create the culture of the learning, and you create a culture of innovation, right?
Absolutely. So innovation and continuous learning culture. So that's what we wanted to ensure, right? And so we feel like once we see that one person is doing something, we feel like following the person. Am I right? Do you agree with me?
Absolutely.
Any great things, probably, right? So definitely we would like to say. So in this, so that's a very good point brought by, I think, Kishore, you brought this point, right? Following the leader. So that's a very good point. I wanted to show you one video on that. Okay, so just a moment. I think I made it. Yeah, here. How many of you seen this leadership lessons from Dancing Guy by Derek Sivers? Okay, so let's watch this video.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. What he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the plant, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, There's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Okay, so what are your thoughts?
We do see, even though we talk about the agile, we do see the organizations most of the time it's like command and control. So people, the team don't trust the leaders since it is the command and control, and whatever the leadership wants to establish in the organization, they already predefine the rules and regulations, and again they want the teams to be collaborative. So to make it collaborative, the team needs to have the trust, and they need to have the transparency at every aspect, and then they can become as self-motivated, and they will be engaging from their side. Whenever they start feeling they are getting into by not saying by the others but by themselves, if they are going to involve in any kind of culture, then the results will be awesome.
Perfect. Excellent. Very well articulated, Suresh. Anybody else would like to share their experience based on the video? I mean, anything similar instance happened in your, probably feel free to share that.
I think that from what I noticed from the video is that if we see, for example, like a person who think differently, who live differently, who have like different kind of living from us, we will say in our mind that this person is ridiculous, or is this person is a little bit like crazy, etc. But if we start to study this person, or if we start to be close to this person, and we will see that maybe this person is right, his personality is like, yes, maybe it's different, but he think his kind of thinking is reasonable, and it will be like, you know, the snowball effect is probably like the same. If I am, for example, if I am affecting like other person with my way of thinking, and this person will do the same thing, it will be like, as I said, the snowball effect, and everybody will join me, or probably will join the other person, etc. And we will probably create like a group or a community of people who will follow me, even will follow me in everything. Probably we are not going to be like this, we are not being agree in the same thing, but this is what I noticed from the video.
Perfect. So have you seen the movie Rush Hour by Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker? Rachuru?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think about the personality of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker? So Jackie Chan will be a bit of serious, whereas Chris Tucker is fun-oriented, right? So that guy behaves like a crazy person. So that's what I just remember the moment I saw the video, I could correlate in that, because there are, again, later point of time, Jackie Chan also will join Chris Tucker, right? So that's what happens, and a very light note. Okay, so fine. So let's move on. So servant leadership, this is what Robert Greenleaf will be talking about, right? So it's like a servant leader, it's a philosophy and set of practices that enrich the lives of individuals, builds better organization, and ultimately creates it's a more and just caring word. So that's what, so it's a combination of philosophy and set of practices which will be enriching our lives. So that is what the definition of servant leadership. So typically our organizations used to have traditional leadership, the way used to have, so we have CEO, we have senior leaders, middle management, and employees will be at the foundation. So now, the servant leadership will be slightly different. It's exactly the opposite here. So first, employees will be taken care. So first will be employees, and then middle management, leadership, and then CEO. So this person will be acting as, you have seen the video, right? So the first person who will be prompting for the change. So that is so this person. So once this person started behaving like a servant leader, so everybody will be following this person. So no need to ask, follow me, right? So that's what, if you see, Simon Sinek, the golden circle, you remember the why, what, and how, the golden circle, right? So most of the people will be following him, right, in LinkedIn. So that's a kind of following. So they will be having more followers. Okay. So let us talk about servant leadership. So what makes a person? So again, there are some principles here. So we wanted to understand the principles and then try to see where we can master, where we can become master in those principles. So let's talk about the first one. First principle is actively listen. So how many of you agree here, or probably let me ask in this way, how many of you don't agree that listening is a very important skill, which everybody have to improve? Do you agree, or you don't?
We need to listen.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to do that, right? So why is it so? Why active listening? Why do we need to listen, first of all?
Because when listening actively, we can only respond actively, because if you don't listen to people, we can't really know that what they intend, and accordingly our service will be affected.
Okay, so let's say whenever we have, I'm sure everybody has got experience in terms of talking to Higita and how can we handle the kids, probably 3 years, 4 years people. So how we can handle them? So how are you going to handle them? The moment they come up with a problem, maybe very silly problem. Right?
You have to first listen out to them.
Yes.
And then go back what emotion is impacting their problem.
Absolutely.
Try to address it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we will listen, and most of the time, if they are small kids, we pretend as if we are listening to them very actively, right? So we wanted to understand. So once you started listening, you start thinking about it. If it is a genuine problem or probably based on the context, so what you can do, you can act in a meaningful way rather than going by emotions and other things, keeping that aside. If you start listening, then your brain will be thinking in multiple directions. It's not only in one direction, right? If you are in an argument, again, that's a completely different story. Right? So the moment you start listening to other people, and your actions will be very meaningful way. Right? So that's why we just wanted to have a listening skill, which is very most important skill. Okay. Then empathy. Okay, so what is the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Empathy is more looking towards the other person, why he is doing so. And sympathy is showing your feeling towards his situation.
Right, absolutely right. Okay, so let's say, let's take a situation, being able to put yourself in other shoes, absolutely right. So let's say you are probably on your balcony. So you have seen one person who is completely wet in the rain. So what do you think? Heavy rain. What do you think about the person?
I feel bad.
That is what? You feel bad. What is that?
Empathy.
That's sympathy.
Sympathy or empathy?
That's sympathy.
Sympathy. Okay.
Yes.
Let's take a scenario. You have an umbrella. You are in a balcony, which is walkable distance, probably 10 feet away from your place. You have an umbrella. Then what you do?
You lend that person an umbrella, or you stand next to the person and share the umbrella with them.
Absolutely.
That's empathy.
That is empathy. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. Okay. So super. And there is something called compassion, right? Right, Lakshmi? That's a compassion, right? The third one.
Yeah.
So would like to explain on that, on compassion part, or? Okay, so just a second, hold on, please. Okay, so we have in our society, it's very unfortunate that the example what I'm taking, but it's relevant to us. So you might have come across with many disabled people. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about them?
I just feel that in some way we can help them so that their life can be better.
Right. How can you do that? Okay, first thing is we show sympathy, of course, because everybody has got emotions, so we feel very bad about them. That's number one. And second thing, you try to there are some NGOs or some organizations which will give shelter to them, and then that is one more level. So they will be having empathy. The third one is compassion. Lakshmi would like to add a couple of minutes on this compassion.
Yeah, maybe we can have them watch this video and then they come up with their thoughts, Kiran, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Let us watch this video. I think most of you people have seen this. It's so again, let's reiterate. Let's watch it again.
We are hiring people who are speech and hearing impaired or deaf. We are hiring people who have physical handicap. About 4 years ago, we started work with intellectual disability, with Down syndrome and slow learner, and with autism. Hardly a year back, we started work with acid survivors. So we have to find ways to engage with each of these disability types, for which we take help from the subject matter expert, who is the NGO. Engage with NGOs across India. In the case of deaf,
sorry about it.
ट्रिप के लिए
ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर करो, घर पे डिलीवरी लो. Cars 24, a whole new world of cars.
Physical handicap and acid survivors, we are hiring them outright, and then we give them training like we give to any other employee. In the case of intellectual disability, because they are so marginalized, they don't have any exposure in terms of school or college or maybe some vocational skilling, but very simple stuff. So in this case, the model is first you train and then you hire. When we say it's our business model to hire people with disability, we mean that the way in which that employee will be engaged by the company is the same way in which a person without disability will be engaged. They will work for 6 days a week. They will work for 9 hours a day. They will receive the same salary that another guest service associate will receive. We have observed over time that people with speech and hearing impairment, in fact, might work faster and more efficiently than those who are hearing, because the room boys are cleaning about 16 or 17 rooms a day, those who are hearing, and the boys who are deaf are actually clearing 19 or 20, maybe 21 rooms a day. This is 15% more efficiency. Intellectual disability, we notice things with respect to quality. They may be a little slower, in fact, but they are such perfectionists that the way in which they'll set up the room, the way in which they'll set up a table in the coffee shop, it will all be as per standard operating procedure. I would argue with any hotel company, with the operations head, that wouldn't this make business sense to you if they could actually work faster and better and come out with more productivity? It's not that the first day we said we're hiring people with disability, everybody was standing there with open arms. There was doubt. And they were like, will these guys be able to work? As we demonstrated it to them, then our colleagues understood that of course they can contribute. You have to look beyond their disability towards their ability.
जून 2013 में मैंने यहाँ पे ज्वाइन करा था। जो मेरी वाइफ थी यहाँ पे 2016 में ज्वाइनिंग करा था उन्होंने एंड जो 2017 में ज्वाइनिंग हो गया। देन फिर जनवरी में एंड मार्च एंड मई में हमने मतलब कि प्यार हो गया। फिर हम एक दूसरे से मतलब कि कनेक्शन हो गया और हमने बातचीत स्टार्ट करी, कम्युनिकेशन स्टार्ट हो गया। देन कुछ समय तक हमने वेट करा। फिर मम्मी पापा से हमने परमिशन ली। फिर उसके बाद फिर हमने फिर शादी कर ली।
All hospitality groups are struggling after the same hotel management school trained set of people, and these people are moving very quickly between companies. By addressing people with disability, we've suddenly entered a new space, and that gives us a whole new talent pool. The attrition rates of people with disability are half the rate of the company. It's really hard to acquire new talent, train them, and get them ready for work. And if you're saving half that effort with this segment, then it's a great thing, isn't it?
Okay. So what are your thoughts after seeing this video? So we have seen sympathy, we have seen empathy, and this is, I would feel that this is a compassion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is compassion.
Right. So yeah, Lakshmi, if you would like to add, feel free to add.
The video says everything, it's just like we're taking, compassion is all about, we're taking that next step, right? Bigger than empathy. We're going ahead and building that, or I would say giving more meaning to the other individual, right? With respecting him or her for the skills and capabilities that is there, and doing something that really resonates for this individual to lead his or her life in a more better way. So we are impacting for the larger good, basically, and that is what is compassion about. And it's not just Lemon Tree, but there are other companies too that are taking these steps, I would say, to bring in that inclusivity in their culture, a compassionate and inclusive culture, if I have to say so. Yeah, that's about it, Kiran. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure. So when in European countries or probably in more everywhere, so even our offices will be having, for any disabled people also, they have a separate way, and they have separate facilities extra where they want it. In airports also we can see, right? So there are many things they can happen. So that's about it. Okay, so go on. Yeah.
Would like to keep a question here. So when we want to see the agile culture in the organizations, every time the management of the organization business who are doing, so they want to implement the agile and they want to start it from the employees. And so here my question is, where it needs to be started? The agile mindset needs to be started from the leadership or from the employees?
Yeah, so again, so it depends on the organization. So mostly we would recommend that, see, first of all, what do you start? What do you think, it's a meaningful to start with?
So unless until the leadership doesn't have this thought, it will be hard to implement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first, it should come from top. It should be coming from top management, right? That's what I would recommend. So again, if you ask another coach, probably they might be having a different answer. So there is no hard and fast rule that it has to do, but to get more results. Okay. So we need to understand, we need to make a leadership understand what are the benefits you are going to get if you use this kind of probably process or methodology or whatever it may be. The transformation typically, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next one is
Kiran, this is one of the good question, I believe.
Yes, Kishore. Yeah. Anything you would like to
Sorry
add?
to interrupt. So, see, management always speaks about agile and agile transformation, but they won't change. But they ask employees to change, and they expect them to work in agile way, but they want the results in the waterfall model. How do you address this kind of situations?
Right. So if you see the same thing, right? So there is a cartoon over there, right? So if how many of you wants change, everybody will raise the hand. So how many of you are willing to change first? Then nobody raised the hand.
Yeah.
That's very lighter note. See, first of all, are you willing to change?
Yes. Yeah. There is a resistance for every human. So if something is new, the human mindset is they stop it basically. So if something new, if they need to do something new, again their mind pauses them to think again. So that's where.
Absolutely. So try giving an Android phone to your grandparents.
They resist.
Absolutely. Then how can you convince them?
Yeah, we need to tell the importance.
We need to tell the importance, and probably let's create.
Let's we can create the curiosity. We can make them feel comfortable so that
So tell the advantages. So right now, what they can see, if they have a normal phone or probably a landline, what they can have, they cannot see even messages in landline. Okay, so let's say ask your probably some relatives to say share some videos through WhatsApp. Then there is a curiosity. What is there in WhatsApp? So how can I see? Then they will ask you, show me how to use WhatsApp.
Yeah, it's a kind of again mind preparation that needs to happen before happening any change.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, we wanted to see the necessary. First of all, do they need Android phone or not? First of all, that necessary is, it's not like, I'm using Android phone. My parents also or my grandparents also should use Android. First of all, see the necessary. See, there are many situations in the geographically distributed world where you wanted to have a video call with your parents or probably your grandparents. So that point of time, that is a necessary. Right?
Absolutely.
We need to create awareness. Yeah, right, Shalini. So you're absolutely right. So we need to create the awareness. What is agile? Make them understand, especially senior citizens and old people, because they are having more experience, right, compared to us. So again, there is a lot of many parameters will come into picture. So we need to go case by case, right? Okay, so communication. So communication is very most important thing. We wanted to communicate, and the communication is one thing where through communication, your transparency will be created. If you don't talk, if you are not vocal in terms of whenever, see this kind of sessions, it can be, because everybody is almost actively participating in these discussions, right? Because you are communicating your ideas. I'm communicating my ideas, you are communicating your ideas. So what is the value out of it? We are getting a complete addition of the experiences by each and every person. Right? So you might be thinking, if I don't communicate, then what will happen? So definitely everybody, it's not only you, everybody will be, there is a chance that, all 46 participants are missing your experience. Right?
Yep.
So that's all. The communication is most important thing, and awareness. So we wanted to have what is happening here, and where it is getting impact in case of any small change in the decision or probably small change. So where it will impact. So again, I would say awareness is a kind of, if you translate into agile world, probably, we may have to correlate with system thinking. The completeness, the complete system, we have to think about it. And we wanted to have awareness everywhere, all the places. Okay. Again, persuasion. So what we wanted to have, it's like, following people. We don't want to follow. They have to follow us. We will not ask somebody to follow me. Okay, so they have to do that. So it should be, it depends on the kind of interactions, the kind of activities, the kind of, being a role model. So these are all will be part of this activity, persuasion. Okay. Next one, conceptualization. So we wanted to have, the complete conceptualization. So that is most important here, where, okay, so where, where we wanted to have a complete understanding and concept we wanted to understand, and where we are going to take it forward. So that is also most important. That is in the next aspect here. Foresee the future. So what is our current state? What is our future state? So where are we? So what are our opportunities? So there are multiple things, right? So if you take one person, there are some things which is internal to that person. Probably strengths and weaknesses will be internal to the person. The opportunities and threats will be outside, where the person doesn't have complete control on opportunities and threats, right? So we wanted to understand what is our current state? So what is our analysis? So what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? So based on that, you have to work on these items, and so that how best you can leverage your strengths in order to overcome the threats, and so on. So that's what you see. SWOT analysis and TOS analysis will be talking about this one.
Hello, sorry, can you come again on conceptualization, please?
Yeah, conceptualization is understanding. So we wanted to understand where are we at this moment, and we wanted to define a future state. Right? So where are we at this? So given a situation, how well we are prepared at this moment. So let's see, take an example. We are badly hit by pandemic situation last year, March. So how are we going to react? How are we going to conceptualize everything? And how are we going to see the future state maybe in phases? Maybe 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, what we need to do based on the current situation, right? Okay. So grow people, that is what is very much important, right? Grow people where, let others also become leaders. So that's the quality of a leader. Produce more leaders. That's the quality of a leader we wanted to make sure. And stewardness. So where, you wanted to have the completely, so you have to follow, there are some ethics, some values of your organization, and your priorities are there. So there are a lot of things which will be hindering your improvements. So we wanted to understand, so we wanted to make sure all the things will be in place, and we wanted to move on. So that is what will be, these are the 10 principles we'll be talking about the servant leadership. And how are you going to practice this one? Now we understand these principles. Now we have to practice as a leader. So as a leader, you have to practice these principles. Okay, first you start with one or other things. Probably start one thing. Probably start one aspect at one point of time, and then start slowly. Let others also grow, and let others also become leaders. Okay. And build community. So we wanted to have, like how this webinar is happening. Similarly, we will be having a lot of community of practices in your organization, right? So how are we going to team cohesiveness, and then you have trust, your vision. So how are we going to build everything? So how are you going to build a strong community? That is very much important over here. Okay. So these are all 10 principles. And again, so what we have seen, the principles of servant leadership. Now it is time for us to see change, how change happens in the organization. So there is one video, I think it will be, I think we will share this because of the time. I think we will share this video link, probably you can have a look at it later. So there are 8 steps by Professor John Kotar, who will be talking about the change process in the organization. So there are 8 steps. So you can go through them, and probably you can have a look at the video later part. Okay. So the last one, I just wanted to touch base on this one here. If you see, this is what a car dashboard probably 20 years back or 15 years back, right? This is how car dashboard looks like. And now this is what it is at this moment. What's the difference between these two?
I think the innovation is important, right? So if you wanted to Be up in the market. Any product, any service which you're supporting customers, you need to keep innovate yourself just to be up on the market.
Absolutely, Anurag. That is the heading of this one, right? So without innovation, analog to digital, right? Absolutely. So, did anybody of any of us thought that there is no necessary to go to bank 20 years back or 30 years back? Did we ever thought about this situation?
Never. Even we always used to have a passbook and all.
Passbook. We used to have passbook. We used to have passbook. We used to carry the checkbook. We used to carry the leaf, self-withdrawal leaves, and other things. Have you ever thought everything can be managed by our mobile phone? Even some people I think might have joined through mobile also, right? This Zoom meeting. Have you ever thought that mobile is going to replace laptop?
No.
Whenever I think there's one participant here by name Kishore. So we were discussing in 2003 when the mobiles have launched at that point of time. So we were discussing mobile is only for calling. It is not going to add any value. Only it is just replacing the landline phone. That's what we thought. Our assumption was entirely wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So that is about innovation part, which is most important. And yeah, with this, and I think I'm good at this moment. So over to you, Minal and Lakshmi. So any questions or any other aspects, over to you. So if you want to make a positive impact, so you can take over, Lakshmi, from now. Thank you so much for listening to me from last little more than 1 hour.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you again, sir. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Manal. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you again, sir, for your time, and also everyone for participating in this webinar. You will receive a survey whereby you need to fill up and send back to us. So you will also receive a certification of participation to this webinar. Before we wrap up, Mr. Kiran, would you like to add on something?
No, it was good, and I enjoyed the conversations because most of the people are very highly experienced people. So that's what even I was myself and Lakshmi were thinking. If we talk more about management, then the people who are from technical background might get bored, and vice versa. So, but again, so we try. Hope everybody got engaged. So, thank you so much for this opportunity. That's all I would say.
And thank you so much. It was a very insightful talk, very informing. Thank you so much. So let us now look back to what we learned today. And I would like to call Kashish to share the key takeaways.
Greetings of the day, everyone, and thank you, Manal, for giving me the opportunity. So first of all, I would like to thank you, sir, because this session was more like a communication and not just a webinar kind of thing. This is where we interacted more, and that's the best part about it. So coming back to the key takeaways of the day. So we started off by learning about value, competency, principle, and practice. We learned the definitions of each of these prospects individually. Next, we learned about mindset and how different mindsets, and especially a positive mindset, can have an effect on our lives and personality. Another point here to be considered was growth mindset, for which we need to accept failures and refine our skills time to time. Next up, we talked about culture. And the major takeaway here is that in order to change culture, we need to In order to change the culture, we need to transform ourselves with that. Moving on, we had Agile, where we learned about the definition of Agile, and next up, we had servant leadership. The key takeaway here was the 10 major principles of servant leadership, which are active listening, empathy, communication, being aware, persuasion, conceptualizing, forcing future, grow people, steward, and building community. Last but not the least, our topic was change and how we can bring it in our lives. So with that, I conclude the key takeaways for the day here. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Manal.
Thank you so much, Kashish. So before we move to the to the end, I would like to ask you guys if you have any more questions. If you have, please comment them on the chat box. If you don't, just say it so you can wrap up.
Okay.
Okay, since a lot of people said no comment, then I would love to. Okay, great. So no questions. I guess everything's clear. I would like to I'm sorry. I would love to invite Mrs. Lakshmi, co-founder and director of Cult of Legions, to give the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Manal, and thank you so much, Kiran, for making this a very, very interactive session. I hope everyone enjoyed and look forward to organizing more webinars with your expertise, like inviting you and sharing your personal agile experience. So we look forward for some more webinars with you. So thank you so much, everyone, taking out time on a Saturday and attending this informative webinar. Thanks all. Yeah. Over to you, Manal.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lakshmi.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all guys for participating and for being here in the webinar. And thank you again, Mr. Kiran, for a very insightful session. Now I would like all of you please to turn on your camera so we can take a virtual picture to leave this in our memories, I guess. So yeah, thank you so much again. Before we take the picture, I would like to tell you guys, if you have more questions about our channel and the company or anything, you can always visit us on our social media and on our website. And do not forget our agenda, which is Let's Write Future through Agile HR methodology. And yeah, again, I request you to please turn on your camera if possible, of course, so we can take a virtual group picture. And that's all.
We request everyone to please turn on their cameras if it's possible for you, so we can have a group picture to have a memory of this webinar. Yeah, those who are unable to do that, it's completely fine, but if you can turn on your cams, that would be great. Kiran sir, I guess your camera is off. Can you please turn on your camera?
I didn't realize that my camera is off.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining and thank you for being patient. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.